Ninefold, Chapter 2, The Ante-Hell. The way down past the gate was not stairs. He kept wanting it to be stairs, kept setting his foot for an edge that wasn't there, and what there was instead was a long grey slope that gave under him a little, soft and wrong, like walking on something that had been walked on too much. The old man went ahead at a pace that never changed and never looked back. He didn't have to. The smell came up first, the wet mineral cold from the arch, and under it the smell of a great many bodies that have stood in one spot a long time. Not death. Worse. The smell of waiting. Then he heard them. It wasn't screaming, he'd half-readied himself for screaming. It was lower and it never stopped, a drone of grievance with no words you could pull out of it, like a market the morning after, like 1,000 people muttering the same complaint to no one. Under the drone, a wet slapping. He didn't know yet what made the slapping. He'd have been glad to keep not knowing. The slope leveled into a flat the size of a field, and the field was full. They went round and round. That was the thing he understood first and couldn't make sit right, the whole packed mass of them moving, in a slow churning circle that had no edge and no center, everyone walking and no one going anywhere, like water turning in a basin. At what looked like the front until the circle swung it away again, someone carried a pole, and on the pole was a banner, and the banner was blank. Grey cloth, no mark on it. They followed it. They'd been following it so long the ones nearest had their hands half raised toward it and had forgotten the hands were raised. And they bled. He saw why they bled. The air over the field was thick, not smoke, insects, a low-hanging haze of flies and worse, things with too many legs, and they were on the people, in the open eyes, at the mouths, and the people were too busy walking to do more than paw at them, the same tired gesture over with no result. Where the stings had been at them the blood ran down to their feet, and at their feet, the slapping, the ground was alive. Worms, fat ones, working the blood as it came, and the people walked on them and through them and the slapping was that, bare feet in the soft of it, round and round. He stopped. "You'll want to keep walking," the old man said, not stopping. "Standing still in here is how you join." He walked. He didn't look at the worms. "What did they do?" he said. It came out lower than he meant. "Nothing." The old man said it like it cost him nothing, because it didn't. That's the whole of it. These never did anything. Never picked. Lived their whole lives with their finger in the air waiting to see which way it'd go, and it never went any way they were sure enough about to move. He flapped a hand at a fly without slowing. "Heaven won't have them, they're not good. Down there won't have them either, even the proper damned look down on this lot. So they get the front yard. Chase the rag forever and feed the worms." He glanced at the field, almost fond, the way a man's almost fond of a thing he's hated so long it's become his own. No name comes off this place. Nobody down there's ever heard of one of them. That's the punishment. Not the flies. The flies are just to keep them moving. And he was counting. He caught himself doing it before he understood he'd started, his eyes going across the churn, face after face after face, ticking them off against something, some shape he was looking for and couldn't have described if you'd held a knife to him. He didn't know who. He only knew the cold drop in him each time a head turned and it wasn't. Each time he was relieved and didn't know which he'd been hoping for. The old man watched him do it and said nothing, which was its own kind of saying. He'd got perhaps halfway across the edge of the field when one of the faces in the churn was not a stranger. He didn't decide it. The knowing went off in him like a struck nerve before any thought caught up, that face, that one, the heavy-set man on the near arc of the circle with the receding wet hair and the mouth already moving, he knew him. The bottom did the same thing it had done under the gate. He stopped walking and this time the old man let him. The man saw him seeing. It took the man a moment, the way it takes a drunk a moment, his eyes coming round and snagging and going wide, and then he was pushing out of the churn toward the edge, toward him, shoving the never-judged aside with his shoulders, and they gave way and closed behind him without protest, and he came up to the edge of the field and stopped, breathing hard through his mouth. You, the man said. You. God. You. I know you, the nameless man said. It wasn't a question and it wasn't quite true. He knew the face. The rest was a locked door with light under it. Course you do, course you, the man's hands were going, wiping at his own face, at the flies, smearing the blood thin across his cheek without seeming to feel it. Up close he was a ruin. Soft once, you could see, a prosperous man gone slack and grey, a man who'd had a good coat. A fly walked the wet rim of his eye and he blinked it off and it came back. They let you come down. Or, no. No, you've got him. His eyes flicked to the old man and away fast, like off a hot stove. You've got a guide. So you're somebody, then, you're going through, you lucky. His face did something, a flinch of pure naked envy, ugly, and he caught it, and tried to make it into a smile, and the smile was worse. Listen. You have to tell them. When you get down there, you tell them I'm up here. They've forgotten me, see, that's all it is, there's been a mistake, I shouldn't be in with this lot, I'm not, I did things, I had a life, I wasn't one of these. I don't know your name, the nameless man said. It stopped the man dead. Something went across his face, hurt, then a worse thing, a kind of scrabbling. You don't, he laughed, hi, and it cut off. No. That's the place doing that. They take the names off you in here, that's what I'm telling you, it's not right, everyone knew me, where I'm from, you ask anyone, you ask, he stopped. He didn't seem able to fill in who you'd ask. The hands kept going. We knew each other. Didn't we? We must have, you looked right at me. We did business, was it? Was it no? He squinted, working it, and there was nothing behind it, no purchase, a man reaching for a name in the dark and closing his hand on the table. Doesn't matter now. The point is you can tell them. Tell them what? Quietly. That it's a mistake. Too loud. A few of the nearest never judged turned their stung faces, incurious, and turned away. That I'm not, look, whatever they've put against me, I never chose any of it, I never came down on the wrong side, I never came down on any side, I kept my head, I kept out of it, when it all went bad I didn't, you don't get blamed for what you don't do, that's not justice, is it, that's, he was pleading now and not even to him, not really, to some office that wasn't there, the same office the woman on the plane had been pleading to, the same words worn the same way. I just didn't want trouble. That's not a sin. Wanting a quiet life. That's not a. He ran down. The flies worked at him. Somewhere behind, the blank banner came round again on its pole and the man's eyes went to it without his meaning them to, helpless, dog-like, and he half turned to follow it and caught himself, and the wanting to follow and the wanting to stay tore at him both at once and he stood there shaking with it. Don't go, he said. Don't, you'll come back. When you've told them. You'll come back and. I don't think I come back up, the nameless man said. The man's face fell so completely it was almost a child's. And then, fast, the meanness came up under it, the way it does in the cornered, well, he said, what use are you, then? Standing there with your guide and your through ticket and you can't even, the flies. He swatted, and missed, and the gesture turned somewhere in the middle into the same tired pawing as all the rest, and you could see him going back under, the circle's pull taking him by the shoulders. You know what, you ask her. When you find, you're looking for someone, aren't you, I can see everyone down here's looking for, he was drifting. The churn had him. You ask her. She'll tell you it was never as bad as they. Her who, the nameless man said, and his own voice came out of him strange and fast and frightened, and his hand had come up, reaching, as if to take the man by the coat, and the old man's hand closed on his wrist, dry and hard as a root, and held it. But the man was already going. The banner had come round and his hands were lifting toward it, and the never judged had closed over the place where he'd shoved through, and his face turned away into the churn and was just another stung grey face among the thousands, muttering, walking, going nowhere, and gone. He didn't mean her. Her any. They say her. They say it to everyone, there's always a her. It wasn't as bad as. He let go of the wrist. Come on. I knew him. Maybe. The old man had already started walking. Or he had the kind of face you put a knowing to, because you wanted, for half a second, to be somebody who knew somebody. It's a hungry place for that. Don't feed it. But he said it a beat too smooth, a beat too ready, and he did not turn round when he said it, and the nameless man stood looking at the closed grey churn where the face had been, and the cold thought came up in him whole and unwanted, he knows. He's not telling me because the not telling is how he keeps me walking. He walked. The field went on longer than a field should, and then it thinned, the crowd loosening at its far edge, the muttering falling behind into the general drone, the worms giving out to bare wet stone, and the ground began, very gently, to tilt down again. And then ahead he heard the thing he'd half heard from the threshold of the gate, much closer now and certain, water. A lot of water, moving slow and heavy, the sound of a wide cold river with no far bank you could see. There was a crowd at the edge of it. A different crowd, not churning, waiting, packed down at the waterline, pressing, and from somewhere out on the dark of the water a light was coming in, low, swinging, the way a lantern swings on a boat. That's the river, the old man said, and for the first time since the gate something in his voice changed, went careful, went almost kind, the kind you save for the thing that's actually bad. Everyone goes over. Stay close to me at the bank, the one who carries them across knows me, and he won't like that you've still got your color. The living don't cross. You're not living. But you're not the right kind of dead either, not yet. He looked at him, the deep dry eyes, the leather face. When he asks you what you are, you let me answer. Out on the river the light swung, and came on, and behind it the slow heave of an oar. Next, the boatman at the black water, who counts the dead and finds one too many, and the price of a crossing for a man who still has his color.